some important tools for engagement that, by the way, we're going to be next year having some ongoing trainings on some of these very subjects. Motivational interviewing, which is been around for quite a while now, but really is kind of that open-ended question. It's like the fancy way to say asking open-ended questions. It's like really digging into, and when you really care about someone and you've just met someone and you're really interested in everything about them, you ask leading questions that tend to get people to open up. So, that's what emotional interviewing is, so that you can, first of all, begin to build a relationship because of how a person feels that you care about what they're saying. And also you begin to see patterns and hear about instances in people's lives that really help you to assist them into creating a plan and a goal that they would like to meet, and really help people work through that, I think. Stages of change are the ideas of how, how ready someone is to change. Basically, I'm always in pre-contemplation about dieting because I always know that I should maybe lose some weight and stop eating so much sugar, but I don't really think it's bad for me and not bad enough for me to change. So there are stages of change, and we all go back and forth. It's not a linear process, so it's something that, this minute I might want to quit smoking, but, if you get me into a smoking cessation class in 3 weeks, I probably don't want to go because I've changed my focus of what my desire and what my stage is at the time. So this is kind of important concept to think about. I think it goes along with the whole idea that change is a difficult thing, and it's just important to recognize that and realize that it takes a lot of work to change just a small thing in your life, let alone a big thing like, having a substance abuse issue or moving inside or taking medication when you didn't want to take any. So just something to think about. Trauma-informed care, that's been kind of the big thing lately. I think that the concept has kind of been around for a long time, but it's just kind of got a name to it. And basically, we all need to be aware of the trauma that people have experienced in their lives and how that can affect their ability to connect and their ability to, make good decisions. It can create quite a bunch of things that is difficult for people to overcome. So it's very important to kind of know what background, again, if somebody has a domestic violence background or a sexual assault background, even from their childhood, if there's child abuse and, 25 years ago that the person, never even talks about today, it can inform how they perceive and the world and the choices that they make and the relationships that they're able to build. So it's important to try to continue in motivational interviewing and in all the times that you're engaging with people to, find out things about them that they don't even think affect them today, but actually do. Critical time intervention is basically thinking about someone who's moving out of an institution for, like, for example, a correctional facility, or perhaps they are moving out of a mental health hospital or something, and so when they move into housing, they immediately need a heavier, denser amount of services while they're trying to become stabilized and comfortable in their new home setting. So I think with a lot of our folks, even if they're coming from the street or if they're coming from transitional housing or emergency shelter, people still usually need a higher intensity of services when they first move into supportive housing. So just being aware of that and being able to have more contact, more touches, have a, as they say anymore, have a, a lot of touches. So you've seen the person a lot within the first few months, and then kind of figure out how that's going to work out. Again, we see this also when someone is beginning to crisis or coming into a crisis. They're going to need more intensive services, and so it's again a critical time intervention. So you're not going to wait and not see the person again until their appointment 2 weeks away if they're beginning to tell you or you're beginning to see signs that there could be difficulty arising. So you need to make sure that you're aware of timing. And reducing harm, harm reduction has proponents and opponents, but certainly I think that all of life comes to be lived so that we reduce the harm that we do to ourselves, whether it's the way we spend our money or the way that we eat or the way that we smoke or substances that we use. We all have things that we could reduce harm in our lives. So just thinking about that and ways that we could assist our tenants to make choices that would reduce the harm, that reduce the negative consequences in their life and increase the positive consequences. I think these are all great tools for engagement.
As Lori had stated in the beginning, in addition to this webinar, which we realize that we can't cover all of the things, pieces that go along with engagement, we're going to be hosting 2.5-hour in-person trainings, and that's really going to allow us to go in-depth on some of these tools for engagement, looking at real-world examples and some case studies, and also what engagement can look like prior to someone entering permanent supportive housing, and then once they're housed, and what that can look like, and how you work with people before they go into housing, and then once they're in housing to ensure that they're then stable. And then also looking closely at engagement with tenants that are exiting PSH. We know that some of our tenants move on. They move on to kind of market rate or other affordable housing, and no longer need the services. But that can be really scary. So how do we engage with tenants that no longer need the services, that are somewhat afraid to move on out into the community? And so here are the dates and the times for those trainings. We're going to have 3 in Chicago, and then you can pick whichever one that you want, from 9:30 to noon, and then we will have one in Mount Vernon, Springfield, and Peru. All of those will be from 9:30 to noon as well. And we really encourage you to come kind of thinking outside of the box, and also looking at some case studies and bringing your own experiences with your clients as a way to think about engagement a little bit differently.